Good morning. Bam, we're live. Jeff Birchfield, Spiegel, G's Louise, Jethro, Cardona. We are starting 5 minutes and 7 seconds. Early, the guest today will be Shawn Ramirez. Pretty excited to have him on. 5 times CrossFit Games athlete. We'll get all the juicy details of how he did at the CrossFit Games. I did a bunch of research on Shawn over the last couple of days. Not a lot to dig out on him in the last couple of years. He's been pretty silent. He showed up at what I believe is called the Masters Fitness Collective. He showed up there with a bunch of other people. Ron Ortiz was there. Those were 2 names. When I used to film behind the scenes, I would see those guys. They were natural superstars everywhere they went. People stared at them. They had big smiles on their face. I didn't spend a lot of time with them in passing. It was always a handshake or a hug, always gentlemen of the highest order. And when I heard he was back in the scene, I was excited to have him on the show. I do believe that Shawn tested positive for something in his final year. I think that was also going to be his final year. I think he was thinking about retiring. It was one of those situations where he had his supplements tested and his supplements also tested positive, something that was like, wasn't supposed to have ostarine in it or whatever that GW1516 thing that our friend Mr. Hiller has educated us about. And it was like 1/120th of a thousandth of a whatever. And so that'll be interesting to hear that story. But there's much more to him than that, obviously. But it is one of those stories. And after that, he kind of dropped from the scene. So I'm actually pretty stoked that he's back. It's a very charming, charismatic character. Lisa, Sevan, do you do the raw vegetables diet after the podcast? I do a lot, not completely. So last night I did eat. Last night I chopped up a shit ton of broccoli and put it in a pound of ground beef, and just ate that. That was the first time I've made myself meat in probably 2 weeks. I've had some meat, but I've really cut back on it. Basically, what I told myself is that any meat that was put in front of me, I would eat, and I would absolutely stop eating processed meat. And I've done that, like no processed meat. I don't eat any deli meat of any sorts anymore. There's a guy named the Wadfather who's told me for years I shouldn't be messing with anything processed, and I feel great. I've been eating like a banana every day and an apple every day, or or a persimmon or just whatever. I started eating fruit. I love vegetables. I've always loved vegetables. But I've been eating quite a bit of steamed broccoli. Yeah. You got it. You understand. Yes. I ate a ton of uncooked broccoli too. Yes. And when you open broccoli, you guys know. If you don't understand this comment, that can be for another show. I want to tell you a story. Last night I was putting my 3 playing brothers to bed. It was early. We had a crazy day yesterday. Every day is a crazy day with those guys. They work so dang hard. It's lots of tennis, skateboarding, piano, lots of CrossFit training in the garage, lots of jiu-jitsu. The boys just had a jiu-jitsu tournament this weekend. Anyway, I had them in bed. We're all laying there. We're cuddled up. It's cold, and so we're all cuddled up. And Avi, my oldest son, asked me if it hurts if a girl gets kicked in the vagina. And I told him I didn't know because I didn't have one, but that I assumed it did hurt, and that I had heard from others from watching the UFC that it does actually hurt to get kicked in the vagina. He then proceeded to say, well, why would it hurt? I think it was him who asked the next question. Why would it hurt if they don't have balls? And I said, because they have other stuff. The point of me telling you this story is because I want to show you how I respond to my kids, and the fact that I don't tell them too much more beyond what they ask. I'm not, and the reason for that is not because I don't want them to know, but because I don't want to give them any ideas beyond what they want to know and beyond what is healthy for them, deemed by what I think is healthy. They went on to ask, why don't women have balls? And I said, because they make eggs and we make seeds. And then they said, where do they make, and now they're all chiming in. They said, where do they make the eggs? And I said, they have these things called ovaries. I think of them as balls, but they're inside of them. And those are their egg making factories. And they said, oh. And I said, yeah. And they said, and boys make seeds? And I said, yeah. And they said, where do we make seeds? And I said, in the balls. The balls make seeds. And it's quiet for a second. And my youngest son said, so you have to plant the seed. The woman has to get the seed, and then it goes to the egg somehow, and and the baby starts growing. I said, absolutely. I said, the egg comes out of the ovary and hangs out in a spot called the uterus. I don't even know if what I'm saying is true. Hangs out in the uterus somewhere. I said, it goes down a tube, goes into the uterus, and then it waits for the seed, and then the seed goes in there. And when the two meet, the baby starts to grow. They're like, wow. My youngest son, Ari, said, how do you get the seed in there? You put it in their mouth? I said, no, you don't put the seed in their mouth. My oldest son, Avi, starts to laugh. I said, oh, how do you think the seed gets in there? He said, it goes in the vagina. My son, Joseph, said, oh, my goodness, does that hurt? I said, what part? He goes, when the seed comes out of you. I said, no. I go, millions of seeds come out of you. He's like, wow. He goes, I don't want to do that. My other two sons start laughing. One of my sons tells my other son, Joseph, who said he doesn't want to do that. He goes, you don't have a choice. You have to. Then my son, Joseph, goes, does it hurt? Does it hurt when you make millions of seeds? Do you pee them out? I said, no, you don't pee the seeds out. He said, but they come out of your penis? I said, yeah. I go, it's something else besides pee. He's like, oh, I really don't want to do that. Does that hurt? And I go, no. He goes, what's it feel like? I said, it feels like eating ice cream. And then they go, okay, we'll do it. I said, all right. They go, is it just one seed? I go, no, it's millions of seeds. They're completely perplexed. They go, how do you know when you're supposed to plant the seeds? I said, when you're old and you're in love. They go, the way you love mama? I said, yeah, the way I love mama. They said, all right. And we went to bed. The end. Mr. Ramirez.
Sevan, hey, what's up, bud?
Also with 3 boys.
Yeah. Almost an empty nest, but not quite there yet.
How old are your boys?
One's a sophomore in college at FSU. I have one that's a junior here in high school, and another one in 8th grade. So I got a few more years.
Oh, my goodness. Are you loving it? Did you love it? Yes,
that's the best job in the world, man. I can't tell you how amazing it's been, and yeah, man. Having one in college is cool because when he comes back down, it's you start reliving those days, and you're like, man, I remember those days, and it's nostalgic, but it's also scary. But
yeah.
So, yeah.
I want to introduce you to a guy who's on the back end here. This is Caleb Beaver. He's on the back end, so any pictures that come up or anything, Caleb is serving in the U.S. military. He's overseas in an undisclosed location, but any pictures you see,
thank you, sir.
From this cat.
I'm a Army brat, buddy. Born in Killeen, Texas. My dad was a Ranger.
You know all about it then.
Yes, sir.
Your dad was a Ranger?
He was.
Wow.
Yeah, I was born in Texas. He was out there based in Killeen. Just shortly thereafter, Elvis left. That's his claim to fame. He was lined up with Elvis. Vietnam, he served, and so yeah, it's part of the life. That's why this weekend meant a lot.
When you say he was lined up with
no,
Elvis.
He says that. That's my dad.
Okay. I was gonna say he's too young for that.
No, man. That's that's my dad being the storyteller he is.
That's Ramirez folklore.
Yeah, man. Good times.
Where are you now? Are you working at a high school?
Yeah, I'm the athletic director here at a high school in Miami.
And how long have you been doing that?
This is my 7th year. It's our 8th years of school. We opened up in 2015 and haven't looked back since. We're up to 6 schools now and starting to spread across the area code and state eventually, but it's a great opportunity. my brother-in-law actually founded the school, and it was just a small little pipe dream where he wanted to make a change in education. And here we are 7 years later, and it's 3,100 kids on a waiting list. You have a bunch of dignitaries here that come to the school, like movers and shakers in Miami. So it's a well sought out school educationally, and then athletically, I'm just attempting to get to the bar that my brother-in-law has set, and it's a tough feat.
How many schools?
6. So we have the 612, which is the one I run right now. It's a 6 through 12, so middle high, and then we have 3 K through 5, like the smaller, like the feeders, and then we have some preschools as well. So that's really, like, it's a charter, so it's a public school, and right now we're turning some heads just because we're the number 1 performing school in the state in academics, and we don't teach you the test. In fact, the new curriculum for the state of Florida is a watered down version of our curriculum that our founder actually wrote. He was a legislator in the House of Representatives for 4 terms. So it's good. It's a nice little change on the education side for the state of Florida, which has always been, let's just say, not above average and a little subpar. But as of now, we're making a big turnaround, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
That makes me feel great. I homeschool my kids. I never thought I would do that. I thought the people that homeschooled their kids were batshit crazy. And then you have kids, and so you scratch the surface a little bit, and I was like, oh, Nelly.
Yeah, no, you're spot on with that. We had to homeschool for 3 years, our kids, to develop this curriculum to open up the school. So I know all about homeschool, and you just got to keep the kids active and keep them out. But I mean, the Singapore math, the Latin, like there's things that the schools don't offer that once I started seeing my kids put into play, they're off the charts on their academics now, which we all know the importance of that, and not many do. And we're here to educate those that don't, try to be a strong movement moving forward.
Yeah. I don't have any girls, so I can't speak to it. And I'm guessing it's very similar, but you nailed it. You have to keep them out and active. I recently had Jeremy Kinnick on the show. You probably remember him from back in the day.
Yeah, of course.
And he posted something on his Instagram. He said, all you have to do as a parent, I'm paraphrasing, between the age of 0 and 6 is make sure your child spends 80% of their time outside. And I thought, wow, what a great, simple way to explain. But it's raining. Doesn't matter. But I can't go to work. Sorry, there's no excuses. The boys have to be outside. They have to be outside.
Agreed.
They are not made to. Vacuum cleaners are meant to be inside, not boys. Yeah, they're wild, and soon it's kind of like soon as you put them outside, they're not wild.
It's true. No,
you know, they look like at one with their landscape.
Yeah.
Inside they're breaking shit. Outside it's just like, oh look, they're just peaceful little. They're like squirrels, just little creatures doing their thing.
Yeah. No. You're spot on. That's great. I love Jeremy. He gets it. But yeah, I agree 100%.
You must be stoked. I always would say when I was at CrossFit, and even what I'm doing now, I'm so proud of what I do because I get to tell my boys that I'm. What do you do for a living? Well, I save people's lives. You know, I point people in the direction of how they can take control of their own life and save their life, so and live the most fulfilling life. And you get to tell your boys as a role model, like I'm an epic role model, but you also get to say, hey, I'm focused on kids. And every mature adult, that's one of the, I guess, one of the litmus tests that you're a mature adult. What is that? Well, that you care about kids.
Yeah, and you can make it
a priority.
Yeah, no, you're right there, and I really haven't settled into seeing that until this year. This is the first year we have a graduating class, and it's one thing. All the little ones that I've been coaching in PE, and because I coached PE when I first got in here, they're all coming in now to high school, and those are the ones that are coming back going, man, you remember when you taught me, the habits of life, and because we have like virtues of the month here with respect, and it's different, and it's those life lessons that these kids just hold on to that really I'm starting to see now that, I mean, I get goosebumps thinking about it. And then now I'm taking them on college trips. I just got back from Southeastern University up in Lakeland by Tampa. And they're like, Coach, remember in sixth grade when you were the one that got me into football flag? I'm like, wow. And here these kids are ready to play, college football. And that's where it's that whole life lesson all throughout, these last 6-7 years, starting to see it come to fruition. And man, it's beautiful. It's beautiful to see. And I couldn't be happier to be in the position I'm in here at a school, being an impact in these lives.
And you won't even hear the majority of the story, Shawn. You won't even 99% of them you won't even hear, but the impact you had on them will be massive.
Yeah, it's true.
Karina Rain, thank you. I wasn't able to give during the Zealous coverage. I really appreciate seeing Shawn on here. More power to all. Thank you.
Thanks, Zealous.
I'll go back to the Army thing. So when you say you're an Army brat, you were born onto an Army base. That's where you were.
Yeah,
Mom had you on an Army base.
Yeah, Killeen, Texas. Yeah. My dad was a Ranger and he was stationed out there in Killeen, and I was born out there. I was there till 2.5, 3, and then my family, my mom and dad are both born and raised in Miami. So they came back to Miami, and that's where I spent the rest of the 45 years, just aged myself, of my life. And then I went to college in Minnesota. That was a little bitter. So I got a little wake up there. But yeah, it's good. I mean, having that background and having that structure and having that was definitely something that helped shape who I am today. But it also, there's the cons of it too. He, my dad, who didn't raise me, was a little, let's just say he's a conspiracist. He's one of those guys that bought like 1,200 acres in Missouri, thinking the apocalypse was coming back in the late 90s. So
he may only be 20 years off. He may only be 30 years off, Shawn. Hold on.
He saw a couple too many things there, and it affected him. But you know what? Great guy. He's there. Obviously, through any tough challenges in life, he's a guy that will have your back and have your side. So it's good. It's good to have that.
Is he still on those 1,200 acres?
He still owns them, but now
Yeah.
he lives in the middle of Florida in Arcadia, and he's got like pet alligators.
Wow.
He's got like 80 acres up there, and he literally hand feeds alligators. Like it's insane, Sevan. It's insane.
Is he a good granddad?
Yeah, no, he's good to the kids. I mean, we don't see him as often as we should, but he's good.
You're 47?
48.
48.
Yeah.
Are you back in the game? The guys saw you at the Masters Fitness Collective.
Yeah.
People were really excited to see you. A lot of buzz, a lot of people sending text messages, posting things on Instagram. Are you back in the game? I
am. This is where, look, I'm excited just to, nice. I'm excited just to move on. And I'm, now that I'm a free man, I feel like I've been, in prison for the last 4 years, wrongfully accused. So I'm here ready to do something that I love, something that has been a part of my life for, close to 2 decades now. And this is where I belong. So being able to come back in, I will say I was ill prepared. I was telling some of your guys, I was like, hey, you're doing good. First place after day one. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing great. However, I haven't really trained CrossFit in over 4 years. So, that for me was an eye-opening experience, because day 2, I started fading. By day 3, you want to talk about just complete, Berlin. I hit that wall. I had no muscular endurance. Mentally, I was there. I thought I can persevere through, but man, I tell you, Sevan, it's different. And these guys, and I was thinking 45 to 49 is a different group. I haven't competed in that yet. There was a couple games guys there, and I'm like, nah, I'll be able to hang. I hung, but boy, did I fall at the end, man. I'm not used to falling, so it humbled me, but it also made me hungry.
Meaning you will make a run in 2023.
Correct. Yeah, the plan is to do the Open, to make a run. Just seeing where I'm at health-wise, seeing where I'm at with injuries. I've been lucky enough not to have any. I do a lot of low-impact stuff, my man. I mean, beach volleyball. I do a lot. That's where I build my engine. A lot of mountain biking, which could be high impact, but on the body, it is low impact until you hit a tree. But I've been fortunate to stay away from those. And swimming. So, there you go. So that's been my life for the last few years. There's my boy. That's the one in college right now, Ty. So it's been good in terms of staying healthy, but bad in terms of moving a bar, man. But like that barbell has been, collecting cobwebs for quite a few years now. So I picked it back up like 2 months before I went into MFC, which just to get some of that blood flowing again. But I tell you, brother, it's to make up for 3 years and 6 weeks was not a possible task. And I didn't think it was, but I went in there thinking I would still be able to kind of pick up close to where I left off. But man, I was really mistaken. So
those boys got strong too.
Yeah, man.
No, the whole field is getting everyone, every Tom, Dick, and Harry. The 80-year-old woman in your CrossFit gym has gotten stronger. It is truly nuts. What's happening? Here's
the problem, Sevan. These strong guys that usually are one-dimensional, right? Hey, you're going to beat me on the strength. You're going to beat this. And I'm a major strategist in any competition. I get out there and I'm looking at this workout with 4 legless rope climbs, 3-2-1. It was a descending or 4-3-2 with a 155-pound thruster, right? So I'm like, I'm going to destroy this because I can do legless all day. And the strong guys are going to get choked up on the legless. The guy who ended up winning it freaking looked like a damn ninja. He was going up so fast, and I'm like, first 4, yeah, whatever. Just wait till that heart rate kicks up to about 140. Man, I'm sitting there, and the announcer was spot on. I'm in the lead. I look over. He comes up next to me off of this thrusters, unbroken. I broke mine up. I look over at him. Next thing you know, he's climbing up the rope on his 2. I'm like, I can't wait to watch this guy start kipping and failing. He came up, dip, came down. I looked at, man, at there, the announcer goes, oh, looks like Shawn is going to be content with second place as he looks on to his competitor. Sevan, that's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, I am happy to take second if you can go up that rope one more time. And sure enough, he did. So that's the scary thing. These strong guys are now gymnastic. They have that gymnastiness and they're well-rounded. I'm like, this is usually like Neil Maddox. He was one of the ones that shocked me. Like I went in there, I'm like, yeah, he's going to beat me on the snatch. But I'm going to take him in all the other. Man, he did his homework. He started working with Chris Henshaw, who was my coach, which to this day I want to, because I didn't know he was working with him. And the guy beat me in the swim. The guy beat me in all the, the Met constant. I'm like, this is not right, man. But just goes to show, man, a lot of people are reluctant and hesitant on working on their holes and working on gaps. And you can't have gaps anymore in this game, man. So everybody's working on them, getting good coaching, getting great programming. And this game has definitely gone to the next level. So that's where right now I'm in the process of getting a new coach. I love my coach, but right now I'm just looking at options and see where that leads me. And let me tell you, when I step back in full, coming back in the open, it's going to be back to that head down and tunnel vision and just going for the kill.
Chase Ingram with Get With The Programming. Let's go, bro. Welcome back, Shawn.
Love you, Chase. That's my buddy.
I heard, are you a UFC fan?
Well, yeah, I saw Chandler this week. Yeah, I don't watch it as much as I used to because wrestling's my background. I mean, I wrestled in college, but that's where I was really into it. But recently, man, it's been all work. I can't keep up anymore, man. So, but yeah, I watched this weekend.
Dana White said something in the press conference. He said that 30 years ago when the UFC started, they were always concerned that no one would really understand what they're seeing. And that in this last fight in the stadium, when Israel Adesanya got one of his hooks in around Alex Pahea,
yeah,
that the whole stadium screamed and stood up. And he took that as like how educated the fans have now become. They understand even a nuanced move like that to the layman of getting a hook in, how valuable that is. And that's what's happened in CrossFit too, not only in their understanding of it, but in the caliber of the athlete. You know, if someone had a 7-minute Fran at an L1 in 2008, you're like, wow, that dude's a beast. And then all of a sudden, you know, flash forward to 2018 and every L1 has a guy doing Fran and, you know, sub 4 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
And you got Noah kicking it, 148 or something, like
nuts.
Ridiculous.
Do you still see him?
He's around, like he's literally like from where I'm at now, he's 2 miles east of me. He's right here in South Miami. Like we don't train together, but we still talk. I still text him. Like, you know, we were really close when he first came in the scene, when he was still at UM. And that's when I kind of took him under my wing, me and Ron, you know, Ron Ortiz, and like we would always come together. And that's when Wadapalooza just started. And then Nike, we were with Nike for 3 years together. But, you know, we don't train together. Like I'm starting to step back in, and now like, you know, Anna, Tunnicliffe. I always say Tunnicliffe, but
right, me too. Anna Tunnicliffe, yeah.
She's down here. She wants to get back. She missed the Olympics in Tokyo by like 10/100ths of a second. Like the girl, so she's back down here training. So we're gonna start training together in the Grove. I'm gonna start stepping back into Peak, which is where, because I just need to get some rabbits and some you know, some elite athletes to pick me. And that was one of my secret success, success stories is I would always just find those athletes to just run with, not all the time, but I would travel up and just grab some guys and you know, just to, once I started feeling confident and my numbers are going up, I'm feeling good. Let me go get humbled. Let me go run a Fran with the Noah Olsons of the world. And that's as an athlete, you got to do that. You always got to just, you know, play at a higher level, compete, you know, practice at a higher level in order to sustain that higher level. So I'm definitely going to be stepping back into him to answer your question. He doesn't know it yet. So if you're seeing this, Noah, answer your text when I reach out to you. But yeah, man, I'm in it to win it, man. When I come back in, it's going to be full force. I want to educate everybody on what's really going on out there. I want to, you know, just tell the story, which is why I'm here today, and be able to just move on and get back to my love.
Did Anna have a kid?
No,
she didn't. Okay. But she had gone to the Olympics before, right?
Yeah. She was a gold medalist in 2008 sailing. She's a beast, man. She killed the MFC. She was phenomenal out there. Oh, there she is. Yeah. She's great. And she's on the RX team, you know, with David Newman, who to this day is, I would have to say, arguably the best, forget sponsor, friend that I've ever had. He's the guy that's always stayed, you know, by my side. And even at MFC, like, you know, we were, I didn't even know he was going to be there. He ended up giving me one of those beaded ropes. And I could not do a crossover to save my life. I could not do one crossover 2 weeks before the competition. And because I had a shorter rope, and he's like, Shawn, here, let me send you a rope. And my son, my 8th grader, he's like, Dad, are you sure you want to compete? Are you sure this is a smart thing to do, Dad? I don't think you're ready. I'm like, what? Man, I tell you, these kids. So I'm like, hey, it's a technique. Don't worry. I'm going to figure it out, but I just need some help. So that was one of those things that, again, it's I've been out of it too long, my friend. So when those things came up, I'm like, dude, I used to do this in 1986 with Rocky soundtrack in the background. I got this. I could do one.
By the way, I spoke to Dave yesterday, just gave him just a courtesy call just to say, hey, what's up? And I agree. He is a class act, a rock of a man. Yeah, the community's lucky to have him. Just so you don't feel left out, I take my kids to the skate park, 3, 4, 5 times a week. And if I stand on their skateboard, they will literally start to cry. They think I'm going to hurt myself. They think I'm going to hurt myself. Yes. No, don't. You're old. They run over to me. I'm like, damn.
I love it. No, man, that's awesome. That's love right there. I used to build half pipes. I'm a big skateboard. I took my
Oh,
kids there early in their years. So I'm all about with raising kids is just a balance of life, like surfing, skateboarding, all those extreme stuff, snowboarding. We go, and then you go to the other side of that and into the traditional sports. Like and that's like here at school, that's what we do. Like every 6 weeks, we introduce a new sport. We introduce lifetime sports with golf and tennis, and because it's so sad, Sevan. You come here, and kids that are coming from other schools don't know they don't even know how to throw with the opposite foot. And I'm like, they don't have no mechanics. They have just nobody's teaching it anymore, man. It's like, and if they're not taught at home and everybody is working multiple jobs and trying to make ends meet and don't have time, like they rely on the schools to do it or coaches for their club. And it's just sad, man. So like, I try to give that balance with the kids and get them out there. And, but skateboarding, man, it's fun, little extreme, but it's a good time.
I don't think people realize that basically you can take any subject and completely dive into it, and you will get the history of the world. So let's say, for example, you were into horseback riding, right? Let's say you liked horses. Eventually, you get into the biology of a horse. You're going to learn how to treat animals. You're going to get into the physics of horse jumping. Everything that you dig deep, you're going to get into math. Everything you dig deep into eventually gives you all of the answers. It really doesn't matter if you can get your kid. And even just training with my kid, 2, 3, 4 years old, all of a sudden one day you realize, oh my God, they know addition and subtraction. Because they're 3 years old and you're like counting reps and you're on 7 and my 3-year-old will yell, you have 3 left. And then I know he did the math. Yeah. It's always unfolding as long as you have them engaged. It's always unfolding.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. No, I love where you're going with that. And that's the one thing is just leading by example. And you do that well. I follow you and that's the one thing that I'm taking all the way to the grave is always leading by example. And that's why this thing that hit me 4 years ago was one of those things where I'm like, man, to hear my kids go, Dad, what happened? Like, and then once I explained to them, hey, this is what happened, and they were like, we still love you. I was like, oh man, and you're our hero. I'm like, oh. And that's when it's just nothing else matters in the world. Family over everything.
It's a healthy pressure that they put on us.
Yeah, it is.
We don't want them to seek external validation, and yet they are our greatest litmus test by getting validation from them. And if your kids can keep you on the straight and narrow, then leverage that part of your ego and run with it. That's what I try to do.
No, well said.
Right. I always use this example, but someone cuts you off in traffic and you're 18 years old and you tell them to fuck off. You have your kids in your car and you want to show your kids what peace and happiness and security and what real men do. And real men don't give a shit. Real men are just in control of what they can control. And you're like, all right, even though I want to flip this guy off, I'm not, because my kids are watching and I want to show them like, hey, you can just give the guy the peace symbol or be like, sorry, even after he flips you off. And they're like, wow. Like
I'm guilty. I'm guilty of the other side of that, my friend.
I know, me too.
But what I do is when I do react, and it is impulsive.
Yes.
I do roll. What are you thinking? You almost caused an accident, and then it escalates, right? And then my kids are like, Dad, don't stop, and then it hits me.
Yes.
And I turn to them, I go, you're right. I'm sorry. I roll up my window. I pull back, and that's when you got. But I know we're all human. We want to defend our right, but.
Right.
Same time, like once it affects them and they're like, Dad, please. All right, you know what? I'm sorry. And that's when you have to end the that overreaction.
What was your first sport you played?
I was a multi-sport guy, which doesn't happen anymore, right? So I was a seasonal. So, I would play football and then soccer and then basketball. So all the traditional sports. And then it turned into some of the
Why soccer and not baseball?
So baseball, actually, I did play at 7, but at 5 years old, just because of the technical side of it, baseball was, at the time they had T-ball, and I did T-ball in like when I got into it for one season, but no, I did those four were my sports for 8 years. And then in between all that is when I did a lot of the surfing, the skateboarding, and the BMX. I did some BMX for a little bit. And then wrestling is what really changed my life. And that came in 6th grade. And once I started wrestling, I never looked back. That was because I was a little guy. I mean, I graduated high school wrestling 119 pounds.
Wow. As a senior.
Yeah.
How tall were you?
No, I was 5'8". And then I went my first year in college. I was recruited as a 126 pounder. I go up there and I ended up coming back after year 1, 6 foot, 190 pounds. Well, 165, but that's when I said, I can't go back and wrestle, man. Like, I'm not a big boy wrestler. I'm a takedown specialist, ankle pick, duck unders. Like, I'm not a guy that's going back up wrestling 190 in a D1 school. Like, that's not like, it's a whole different style. So, but let me tell you, like, being that small, like, that's where the baseball, I didn't have the long ball. You could still play baseball, the second base. I was a shortstop. Football, I played all the way, till middle school. But wrestling, it's all weight class based. So I was able to go in there and do really well in middle school, and got recruited into a high school, and it's a great sport for me. And that I credit a lot to the successes in CrossFit. There's a lot of similarities in that. A lot of guys, the Chris Spielers of the world, and the Matt Chance, the guys that wrestle that, man, that mental toughness and that grit and that determination and that fight is something that it definitely is what I value most in my current day and age. And it's something that has carried over to many of my children, and my son wrestled. We just started a wrestling program here yesterday.
Oh, and congratulations.
I'm excited, man. It's just because I know what it did for me in my life. So yeah, that was it. So your traditional sports, extreme in the middle of those, and then wrestling.
Justin Medeiros, the current 2-time games champion, his first year as a wrestler, he went 1-49.
No way.
Lost 49 of his 50 matches.
Get out of here.
How tough did that make him?
That he turned around and was like, what, 2-time state champion or something?
Yeah, but I don't know if he ever became. He ended up going to the championships in California. Yeah. He ended up going to the state championships. I don't think he won, but imagine losing your freshman year 49 of your 50 matches and staying with it. And his mom and dad will say, yeah, the kid has no quit.
That's beautiful. Yeah. No, you can see it. Like him getting his repeat, I was like, this guy, man. Like, because that's the toughest part. Oh, there it is, the Naga. Yeah.
Are you doing jiu-jitsu also?
So I did that for 2 years when I came back, and that's where the wrestling background. My son was in a jiu-jitsu dojo. So we started doing the NAGA, the National American Grappling Association. That was one of the coolest things. Like coming back, that one on the bottom there, he ended up having the fastest submission in the tournament. It was 4 seconds. He jumped and did a flying armbar. I don't know how he did it. He literally shook the hand. He blew the whistle. He jumped up, landed on his back with the guy's arm, and tapped him out in 4 seconds.
How old is he there?
He's, I want to say 9.
Yeah, a lot of I don't know if that's in my kids' division. My oldest kid's 8. They wouldn't even allow that.
No. Oh, really?
A flying armbar? No.
No, yeah, this was back in the day before.
That's awesome.
This was like 10 years ago. But no, it was neat. Be able to come back and compete with my kid in the same tournament, and him in my corner and me and his. And I ended up winning the open division for 30 to 39. Wow. And then I won the Masters division, the overall Masters. I was in 2 divisions there. And what was cool is, like, those are the lessons in life. So I'm on the corner going into my final round. The guy that I'm going against submitted his guys like all less than 30 seconds. He was this 5'6", 190 pound, just yoked individual where I'm not gonna lie, I was terrified. And I'm not scared of many things. This guy scared me, Sevan. I was like, yo, I got it in for me here. And so I'm there, headphones, trying to disconnect, doing my thing. Ty comes up behind me. He's like, Dad, are you ready? I'm like, yeah, son. I'm hugging him, trying to get power, trying to get, my boys good fortune. And he goes, who are you wrestling? I was like, it doesn't matter. Trying to avoid that question. Doesn't matter, son. I'm going out there. I'm going to do. And he goes, is that him there? I go, yeah. He goes, oh my God, he's big. Oh no. So I went, son, size doesn't matter. Are you kidding me? Look, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. I'm just going to go out there. I'm going to throw legs on him. I'm going to make, and he's like, but he's strong too, Dad. I'm like, oh crap. So right there, I was like, this is going south. And meanwhile, my heart rate just probably elevated 30 beats per minute there. And I said, son, can you go over there and just go into that corner? Daddy's got it. Daddy got to go to work.
Go give that guy a pep talk. Go tell that guy how great your dad is.
Oh man. So I ended up going in there and actually beating him. I rear naked choked him in the final minute of the match. And he came running on the mat, jumped on me. I hugged him. I fell back. I was so exhausted. It was one of the best feelings and best memories I've ever had. And when he sees this, he'll remember that. Like that to this day, I still bring that up. And it's just one of those things where, it's dad was definitely the underdog there. And I was getting tossed around like a freaking, like a doll, like a rag doll. And I just stuck to it. I was down like 8-2 and came back and stuck him or submitted him.
So when you submitted him, you were down 8-2.
Yeah, no, he threw me.
Awesome.
And it was embarrassing, man. Like he just toyed me. But that's one thing I will say. In all my years of wrestling, even in college, I've never been pinned.
Wow.
I've never been on my back for 3 seconds. So that's one thing. They used to call me Gumby. I used to literally dislocate my arms to try, to avoid getting pinned. But that's he thought he had me, a couple times. Submitted where my chin was down enough, but I was turning purple. And that I take to the heart, man. I don't ever give in, man. Yeah, man, it was good.
You grew 4 inches your senior year in college.
5 months. The doctor's like, you're on a rapid growth spurt. I've never seen anything like this. He said, but he goes, you are at 2.5% body fat. I'm concerned that I may not see you for the next doctor visit. And that was before they had any regulation.
You couldn't eat enough to sustain the explosion of growth?
Sevan, I didn't know I was growing at the time. When I went back, it was after Christmas break. It was at Christmas break. And so Thanksgiving, I went with my roommate to his house, ate like a pig, went back. I had to weigh in for the Bison Open, North Dakota Bisons. And they had a 5-pound weight allowance. So it was 131. I came back at 146. I was 15 pounds overweight. They threw me in the sauna, put a body bag on me, and I sat there on a bike for an hour. Lost 12 pounds, then lost another 3 throughout the day, passed out on the scale weighing in for the event. Luckily in college, you can weigh in the day before. So I was able to recover for the tournament. But let me tell you, that was just that. I was so malnourished. I was just killing myself, literally. And that's when I kind of woke up. And then after that, they started regulating it. There was kids that died. I think it was Oklahoma. There was a couple kids that were dying from excessive weight loss. So now they manage it. They monitor it. But let me tell you, I was close, man. I was really close.
So what you're saying is you were growing so fast you didn't even know it. Did you not go through, what was that? Are you a late bloomer? Did you not go through puberty as a sophomore in high school?
Yeah, I wouldn't even wear tank tops in my junior year and senior year is, you started seeing a little bit of growth under the pits, but it was embarrassing. I would just keep my arms to the side. Everybody there has beards under their arms. And I was bare skin under there. And I'm so I was definitely the late bloomer.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
God. In hindsight, I think you really do want to be a late bloomer.
Yeah,
it's kind of like crawling. People want to get their kids walking as fast as they can. I'm like, dude, I think of crawling as the holy grail of fitness. And if you can have my kids, I feel like were world-class crawlers. I mean, they were savages. But once you stand, you're going to stand your whole life.
Yeah.
So you might as well just get as much reps in as you can crawling. Right?
That's awesome. No, I love it. That's cool.
good for the brain, good for the, the shoulders, good for the
Yeah.
hips, good for I mean, crawling there's no downside.
Yeah. No, I never thought of it that way, but yeah, that's pretty primitive, but brilliant.
Thank you. I come up with a couple things here and again. I want to go back to soccer. Do you think soccer is probably like the greatest, maybe one of the greatest supplemental sports? Like people always talk about gymnastics as being, a great sport for kids. But whenever I see this insane metabolic capacity or just incredible footwork, in other sports, I always feel like people are always like, yep, they played soccer. Like all the greatest tennis players in the world seem to have some mad soccer skills.
Yeah.
And that's why I was thinking soccer seems so much more, if you're not going to be a professional baseball player, I guess even if you were, like soccer would be the one to mix with basketball and football because they just lend so much capacity to those two sports.
Yeah. No, look, that's our biggest sport here in our school. I mean, we have almost 300 kids in our soccer program.
Wow.
And the results speak for themselves in terms of building the capacity of the engine. You're running up and down. It's great for the footwork, the whole team, the camaraderie. Like there's so many benefits of it that, it's from I would say the 5-year-olds all the way to the 9, 10. That's our strongest sport. Then once they get there, that's where they start going into, some of the other, look, even basketball for the one thing I will say with soccer is, the hand-eye coordination is the only thing that you lack in, where the combination for most of our kids is soccer and basketball or soccer and flag football or all three. So I think there's something to say about that with the hand-eye and being able to actually, learn how to throw the ball and things. So that combination, I think, is the way to go at the early age. And then from there, anything is possible. I'm a big gymnastics guy. So all my kids, with the exception of one, did 3 to 4 years of competitive gymnastics. But if you're not at the, level 8, level 9, when you're, 10 or 11 years old and you don't have OTC track, if you're not at that level, it's just too much on the body, man. But for that baseline fitness and that baseline foundation of strength and flexibility and power, I'm a huge fan. And my kids to this day, like my kid is a tight end now, 6'2", football here, junior. And after the game, he's going and they're all celebrating a big win for our conference championship. And here he does doing a back layout. And everybody's like, what? And they're freaking out. And I'm like, yep, how does a big boy do that? It's called gymnastics, buddy. It never leaves you. Are you kidding me? So that's something that you'll carry on forever. And his power that he has from that, even his power cleans. He was cleaning 225 the other day. And I'm like, my God, like his hips, just everything. And I definitely think the gymnastics background for a short period of time, because his body did start getting beat up. He was starting to compete, getting into 11, 12 years old. And I knew he wasn't going to go much further than that. I'm like, come on out. Then he went into wrestling, my oldest. And he did lacrosse, which was big, and football. So football in the fall, wrestling in the winter, lacrosse in the spring. And that's what he did in high school, and it was a good combination.
The other great thing about gymnastics, obviously it has kind of that wrestling piece that it requires some grit and some balls, but no one's trying to stop you. But gymnastics and skateboarding, they demand a high level of precision from day one.
Yeah.
You will pay the price in skateboarding if you're not precise. I mean, yeah. you will get slammed on the concrete, and gymnastics is like that too. There's just a high right away. It's, you don't learn that type of precision in other sports until you progress. But in those sports, they're drilling it into you early, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. No. And it's just very technical. And the thing I love about the gymnastics and the skateboarding is that whole mental toughness, man. No matter how many times you fall on that skateboard, no matter how many times you fall off, say, the beam, or you're coming off the ring, you got to get back up and you got to just dust it off and keep going. And you have nobody to turn to, you and the board or you and that floor, right? So that's the same thing with wrestling. And I think instilling that, and a lot of colleges now, and I've been talking to recruiters, they look at that. They want a well-rounded individual. Yes, the academics are top priority. Then it goes, okay, did you do a team sport? Oh, you show good, where you can work well with others and the camaraderie and being able to, conform to a team. But did you have any track or any individual sports? Because that shows that you're able to work well with yourself and, mental toughness. So that's where even at the collegiate level, I'm getting questions from recruiters saying, what other sport did he play? And like, they want to hear that individual.
Interesting.
No, telling you, it's one of those things. And then the leadership side, being a captain, being like, they look for that. Like West Point, my son is looking to go to West Point. They're big into leadership. Obviously you go to West Point, you're coming out an officer, and you have to serve 5 years with the force. But that's something that they look for, that individual team leadership, and that starts early on. That starts at the earlier years in growth, and that's where a lot of these parents in today, they're like, no, we're gonna play soccer, and he's sticking with soccer. I'm like, the kid's 9 years old. No, but the club, I go, it's a business. I'm like, give this kid some variation. Have you ever heard of the variation principle? Look it up. And they're like, look, okay, maybe that's the exercise phys guy talking to me and the kinesio, but look, he's going to get burnt out. He's not going to like the sport anymore. His body's going to be taking too much of a hit in the same areas. He's going to start getting, like, orthopedic surgeons love these parents that specialize young, because these kids are getting ACL tears when they're 12, 13 now. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it's just overuse. So I constantly have conversation with parents like, keep your kids in multiple sports, give them the variation so that they can learn new things. They can work on different aspects of the game, on their mindset, get different loads to their body and on the physical realm, and not get bored and still have a zest for and a want to be out there on the grid and on the court or wherever it may be. So yeah, man, that's huge.
Do you, Shawn, do you remember Travis Bagent, the commentator at the CrossFit Games?
Yeah, Travis, love his voice. Yeah,
he's great, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you said something that made me think of him. I don't know if you're familiar with what's happening in his life right now, but his current high school son is maybe the best quarterback ever to play high school football.
Out of California?
As quarterback? No, in the country. And his oldest son is about to break the all-time college football touchdown passing record in the history of football. His name is Tyson Bagent, Shepherdstown. He's gonna for sure be drafted in the first round. He's got fucking agents crawling all over him. He's considered one of the 10 best players playing football today. He's 5 passes away. He just broke whatever the Division II record is. He just broke it, that all-time record.
Wow.
It's a really special situation that kid has put himself in. And everything you're saying to me is like making sense. This kid had crazy variance. He's a crazy leader. He's all around great kid. I had him on the podcast. I shouldn't even call him a kid. Crazy man. I mean, anyway, in last year he won the Harlan Trophy Award. It's the Division II Heisman.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and it's gonna be a kind of a freak thing, because he's gonna go from Division II straight into the NFL, and he's probably gonna go in the first round. Here's the thing that caught me, what you said. Last year, in one of his final games, in his last 2 final games he played last year, I think in the last 2 seconds he threw touchdown passes to win the game, 2 games in a row. And later I asked Travis, are those your best moments in watching your kids play football? And he goes, yeah. And I go, what did you like about him? He goes, I liked it that my younger son came up behind me and jumped on my back and hugged me. Not the fact that his older son threw the winning touchthat. And I was like, holy shit. And there's Travis.
Yeah.
And you said that when you were at that Naga tournament, you went over to your son to hug him to get the power. Do you know what you meant by that? Because I don't think a lot of people realize until you have kids. I don't even know how to put words to it, but there's it's almost like an electrical current. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's a stimulus that I feel is just immeasurable. It's something that, like, no matter, and that's why you always see me at the game, Sevan, with, an entourage, just a flood, of family, because whether it's my son or whether it's my nephews or even, my wife, my brother-in-laws, like that love, like, let me tell you, it's just family. And that's why this shirt, family over everything. Like for me, like that gives me this surge, this power, this belief where nothing else matters. Doesn't matter how big that guy is, doesn't matter how bad I am at the movements coming up, doesn't matter how much of a deficit I am at halftime, whatever that is, it's all out the window once I get that feel. And sometimes I have to create that where I go and I go and search for it. But like with Travis, when it comes behind you and it grabs you and you're in that moment, there is nothing that can just replace that feeling. And let me tell you, I'm about to like break down, but that's what life is. And that's what I've been blessed to have in all my years of competing. But I create that, like, cause that's what feeds me. That's what feeds my soul. That's what feeds my hunger. That's what gives me the power within to be able to put that out. And so, when you say that, like it brings chills because it's so, it's just special. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just one of those things that as a parent, if you're lucky enough to have that relationship, you're blessed. And if that's where there's a missing element or component in life, I would just say, like, just be there for them. Like, I'm at every one of my kids' games, everyone. And also the main thing I feel that a lot of parents fall victim to is living through their kids. Right. And I'm just as guilty. Sometimes I get there, I'm like, what are you doing? And I step back, I'm like, But you'll look at the Ray Allen, like we have, he's a basketball dad here at a competing school. He comes in our gym, good friends with him. And the top of the echelon of athletes, what do they do at their kids' games? They sit as far away from their children and they don't say a word. And they sit there and I've often like looked at them like, and I learned from them. I'm like, how come like you know more than anybody out here? How come you don't? He's like, because that's not my job. He's like, now I'm taking notes, mental notes on everything happening. Now after the game, I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to tell him what he did wrong, what he did right, but during the game, he needs to figure it out. And I'm letting that coach do his job. I'm like, wow, I love you, man. Like, thank you. So those are the kind of things that I feel like a lot of like people just get sucked into the moment and they start just living those years, and we're all guilty of it. But you got to, like, at that point, just pull back and go, let the coach. Now, if you have a problem with the coach, that's a different story. Address it after and be professional. But don't sit there and express your thoughts to the whole community and to your kid who you're embarrassing, right? And, those are but again, like that's where, with that in place, I feel that kids will pull more to forming that relationship and respecting you more and not wanting to shy away, scared of what you're going to say or, so I've picked up a lot of lessons in life from some all different aspects. Even my brother-in-law, who just played, he's the founder of the school. He played high school soccer, but he's the guy that just calms me. I had to call him before this. I'm like, man, I haven't come out for 3.5 years, 4 years. Like, I am not an anxious guy. I'm like, man, I'm actually nervous. He goes, what are you nervous about? He's like, Shawn, this is the exoneration. This is you just talking about your story and your life. And I'm like, I know, but like, I just, I don't know if I'm ready. He goes, what? You were born ready. And anyway, it's people like that just bring you back to the ground. And who does that better than anybody? Our kids. Our kids are the ones that just humble us and keep us grounded and give us that power on the other side of that. And it's a beautiful thing.
Well, nothing matters, right? Like nothing matters about Shawn when he's focused on his kids. So like if your kid, let's say your kid falls down and there's an alligator 5 feet away from him. There's
my dad's farm.
Yeah. There's like absolutely doesn't matter whether like your mom just died, you have cancer, you
jumping on that alligator,
cheating on your wife, like whatever the insanity, it's irrelevant.
Yeah,
the child it just all fades away into nothing. It's just like I tell these people, like I'll have these conflicts with people, just like in the world. But as soon as you hold it up against like, what if my kid was in the hospital? like that. Those are like my best friends compared to that situation. I'd have a beer with my best enemy before and love them and tell them I'm sorry for everything before I'd wish one fucking hair to get broken on my kid's head. You know what I mean? It's just like they just put that shit in perspective. Justin Medeiros' mom, Shayna Medeiros, family over everything, family and friends. They are blessed. Our squad is deep. Boy, their squad is deep. They travel huge. It is the best. That is the key. Just simply be there for them.
Yeah.
The champ's mom has spoken.
Shane. Yeah.
So at what year how old are you? And tell me about your paths crossing with CrossFit.
So, I mean, that's a pretty broad statement there, Sevan.
Right. We'll dig in anywhere.
So, I mean, for everything that happened, in a nutshell, you know, when 2018, after I finished the games, that's where, you know, there was I received an email from CrossFit stating that, you know, there was like trace mineral. Huh?
Before we get to that, I'm just curious, like earlier, like 10 years earlier, how did you find CrossFit? And then we'll work our way into the
what really
into the 1/20th of a milligram of something.
It's crazy.
1/20,000th.
No, it's a nanogram. It was 0.04 nanograms. I have it embedded in my head. So 2008, ironically enough, CrossFit wasn't around down here. Like you guys in California, since 2003, 4, you're right, the ranch and 6, 7, you guys had it, right? Here, there was, I think, CrossFit MIA at the time, CrossFit Miami, and there was I Am CrossFit and one other place called
that's right. I Am CrossFit. Is that still around?
It is. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, they expanded. They're the ones that did Crush Games. So they expanded and they kind of split, where Mike Asuna now has CrossFit Train 8-9, which is in the Grove, which is what I was talking about where Anna trains at. But you have like those guys were the OGs, right, that started it. And then I was a personal trainer at the time, right? I had just graduated. I was getting into more of the athletic directing side of things and working with the county. And my wife was like, "Have you heard of this thing, CrossFit?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's like this new thing. Yeah, it's crazy, right?" And she's like, "I want to do it." And she was a spin instructor. So I started.
By the way, that's what Greg Glassman was too. Greg Glassman
was he a spin instructor?
With one leg? Yeah, spin instructor.
Shush.
Yeah, in Santa Cruz, California, supposedly the hardest spin classes you could do in the state.
Absolutely.
Yeah, crazy, right?
She still to this day does. There it is. She still to this day does teaches spin, which is crazy. 20 years later or more. So here we are, right? Like, not knowing anything about it. I did my research. Ended up just walking into I Am CrossFit, which is like, you know, in Doral area. And I'll never forget Dre, who was in the first CrossFit. He was on a team in the games in 2000, I'm going to say 8, 9. He was running by himself, sweating, comes in, "Hey, I'll be right with you." I'll remember this to this day. Kept running, and I'm like looking around. I'm like, wow, okay, not the customer service and relations that I expected. And he comes back in, he's like, he looks at me, and, you know, meanwhile, this guy's like 6'3", you know, 240, just chiseled. And I'm like, all right, I'm definitely not going to be coming into this place. So I literally walked out. And then I found IMT CrossFit, Intense Muscle Training. So I went in there, small 2,500 square foot facility, walked in. Right away, they greeted me. "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm looking for my wife. She's, you know, interested in maybe possibly joining." He's like, "Hey, we have a workout in about 30 minutes. Why don't you jump in?" Because I gave my background. I'm into, you know, exercise physiologist, blah, blah. I'm a trainer, but I also, you know, collegiate wrestler. And he's like, "Oh, okay. Why don't you try this workout?" Oh my God, Sevan. It was, I will never forget it. It was like a combination of like Fran. So it was like thrusters, pull-ups with tire flips. So not only did you blast your body full, like with that nasty couplet.
What a way to welcome a new client.
Oh my God. No,
the old days.
I threw up. I almost passed out, but I was hooked like everybody else, right?
2009?
2009. So after that, I'm like, wow, this is something that I've never experienced, just being just flattened like that. And so it hooked me. So here I am. Then a month later, he hired me as one of the trainers.
Wow.
Yeah. And
God, the old days were wild.
then we expanded in 2010 to we doubled 5,000 square feet, and then to 10,000 square feet. I became partners when we expanded, and I started competing in 2012. And that's where I went regionals, like Southeast regionals, as a 38-year-old struggling, waiting for 7 years to become a master's. Because, I was your top 20 guy, but man, I had no business being there, man. These guys I couldn't do it. So then that's when I started just rallying up and on an individual campaign with Dave. When I'd see him at regionals, I'm like, man, when are you going to drop? Masters is 40 everywhere else. What are you guys waiting for? We're talking about it.
Why? What was Masters then?
45.
45.
45 to 49, 50, and 55. So the following year, and that was 2013, I begged and pleaded. They said, look, you might have your wish. We're seriously considering it. Just pay attention to the website. And sure enough, they put it out there. And that's when 2014, I turned 40 in May and became the youngest of the 40-44. And that's when I went in with no expectation. I won the Open. And I'm like, wait a minute, this could get real. And then it was in Carson at the time on the track. And I won that 2014. And that's when I was like, man, I can really do this. But what was good is the vision. Like everything is, for me, is visualization. I'm all about, you gotta see it to be it kind of guy. So I went in 2013 to Ron Ortiz out in Carson and watched him win the CrossFit Games. And that's when I got that whole just.
Did you know him?
Yeah, no, Ron and I, we connected through the CrossFit community, but he was a West Palm Beach firefighter and I worked for the county as a wellness director. And we kind of linked up, it was through Peak, through, Guido.
What year was that you met him?
2011.
Was that love at first sight when you guys put your eyes on each other? Because it is really weird. You guys were a very special combo. You guys stood out at the CrossFit Games. You were both very charismatic. Everyone loved you. People gravitated to you like no others, masters athletes in individual or team even. Do you remember that first encounter with Ron?
I remember it like yesterday. Yeah, it was in Peak Performance, but they're in another warehouse district. There's my dog right there. And so what happened was I go in there, and that's when Noah was still at UM. He was just a little jit. He was like 19.
Yeah.
Just stepping into the space. They called him Mini Guido at the time. They were like, hey, little Guido. And it was like the whole Hustle Hard crew. So it was like Big John and all those guys. And so I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah, that was right after that. That's awesome. So here we are in this gym, and I didn't know anybody. And right away, Ron just came up to me. He's like, hey, Ron. I go, yeah, I know all about you. And he was right away. He just gave me that big Ron hug that he gives, and I felt it. And he's like, hey, glad to have you on board, man. Glad to have you on the team. And I'm like, team? I was like, wow, this is great, man. So after that, it was just brotherhood, man. Like he's a brother to so many, and he's always there. Like that guy, even through all this stuff, like he's Shawn. Hey, if you need anything, just let me know, man. And I love that guy, man. And I was glad to see him at MFC. We were up there hanging out, and he recently.
So that was a surprise to see him there. You guys didn't.
He's the one that got me back in. He's like, oh, you got to go, man. I'm like, Ron, I'm not ready, man. Like, this is 2 months before. He's like, listen, I can get you an invite. Like, the guys that run it are really cool. This guy, Bobby. And I'm like, man, whatever. What if I do team? He goes, no, man. He's like, you got to come. If you're coming back in, you got to come in as Shawn, the Ram. I'm like, all right, man, that's fine. So I did it. They gave me an invite. And then I got cold feet. I'm like, Ron, this is 4 weeks before. I go, Ron, I don't think I can do this, man. Like I haven't been competing. I haven't been training. I haven't been doing anything. like my shoulder's gimpy. You know, I messed it up playing beach volleyball. I landed on the ball and it like subluxed. It went out and in. I'm like, I can barely do anything overhead. No shoulder stability. So right away I talked to Chad at CrossFit Arm, my coach, and he's like, dude, start doing some SOTS presses, start doing some PVC with the bands and the kettlebells and get some stability there. I'm like, damn, you're right, man. So every 4 to 5 days a week, every day of the week, that's all I did here at school.
So you were scared.
I just look.
You had to kind of face a fear. You like face the community, face yourself, face. No,
community was not the fear. So the community, I was eagerly anticipating that reunitement. Like I had so much. Look, I only had a couple trolls, and those trolls I punched in the face. Well, I met face to face and was like, listen. First of all, get the facts. Second of all, I've been taking the same stuff before, and third, like, who do you think you are calling me out on, like, who are you to talk? Meanwhile, some of these guys got popped the next year, which, like, and did I go
always
back?
like that, dude.
Come on, man. The guys that hate,
it's always like that.
Yeah, that, want to shed that or cast that shadow on those to give them more light. And at the end, they're the ones that are hiding. And so anyway, I didn't take it personal. And again, I could count on one hand how many of those there were. And out of all of those, I would say, oh, that's beautiful. That's what we were talking about right there.
By the way, that's Gary Roberts on the left.
Love that. No, Gary was the man. He was the man.
Crazy. Yeah.
God, I love that guy. So look, at the end, just circling back, like that was more of the main reason I went back is because of that community. Because let me tell you, all those Masters guys, like they came up to me, Shawn, everything that you've gone through, like you coming back, like this is so good to be competing next to you. But then on the other side of that is like, you're so like different than what I imagined. Like, I'm like, what? No, in a good way. Like you don't hold what, all the accolades that you have, you don't hold it above. Like you're so grounded. I'm like, man, that's who I am. Like anybody who know, yeah, but I've never competed with you. Like, it's good to see, man, and hugs and guys that just truly were excited to be around competing with me, but like just genuinely happy that I was back in the space. And it wasn't them just trying to blow smoke and trying to just like, build an ally or hook up with me, like, and get my contact. It was just, you could just see it, man. Like, and they were coming out of everywhere. Like even the commentators, like Jeremy, like they were just all coming around me. And that was what I was so just excited to get back to. Now, competing, terrified because I have everything to lose, right? Like I go back there and I get trashed and I don't even get on the blocks. Like everybody's like, dude, that guy fell off. What's wrong with that guy, right? And that was the fear because I haven't trained. I was weaker than I've ever been. And I went to Ron and said, Ron, I'm not ready. Bro, you're ready, brother. You got this. Like, I'm like, oh, shit. So then I finally.
How old is Ron?
He's in the 55 group now.
Wow.
I believe. Maybe he's at the 54, maybe the end of the 50s. I know when I go to 50, he ages up. So he might be like 54. So anyway, so that was the fear, my friend, is just, going in there and like, look, at the end, I really don't care what people think. And everybody says that, but I really don't. Those that are close to me, I do. But being a 4-time world champion, going back into the space and not being competitive was a huge fear of mine. And I didn't feel like I was ready. But after day one, with the handstand walk, I came out on first, and I felt just on fire. I was like, man, I'm back. And I stayed on a good pace, but over 10 workouts, I just couldn't sustain it, man. I couldn't hold on. And but what's good is after that, like I truly got that edge back and that need for competition and being able to go and just claim what was mine and get back on that set. So anyway, yeah.
So when you say 4 times games champion, that's because the 5th year they stripped you of the title.
Yeah. Well, second. I lost to that Mr. NM, Neil Maddox.
Oh, in your 5th year, you took second.
Correct.
And at that point, he was coming in at 40, and you were 40.
Right.
45.
Yeah, which does make a difference. We all know that. But I just knew him as being the strong guy. I didn't think that he was going to come in with, the tools that he came in with.
He's a special athlete, man. He's a
and that guy, athlete. Look, he camped out there like a month before and acclimated. Like, dude, he even said, this is my last competition. He was there to win it, right?
Yeah.
He wanted to, and he retired his shoes and all that. And I give him credit when credit was due. And he earned it. He put in the work. But for me to end like that, and for me to not be able to, I don't need to win on top, but even if I got that second place, I wanted to end with that honor and the integrity and be able to not have any, asterisk or tainted my image and my name. And that's what I want to come back. That's why this next time coming back, I already got a guy who's going to document everything, everything from everything I'm eating and training and supplementing and doing. Hey, I want to put everything out there so everybody can see, because I haven't hit anything my whole life. In fact, I've been more than transparent to CrossFit, because nobody knows this, but in 2015, when I won my second year, I tested positive for Adderall. So it was, and that was a PED, because it's an amphetamine. But I don't even take it coming into the games because it suppresses my appetite. But it was in my system. But I've had a therapy. I mean, I've had a prescribed since 2008. That was also a late blooming discovery, adult ADD. And it really. And I text Dave, are you serious? I submitted this last year. No, you got to do it every year. So Sevan, and you probably knew this, from that point all the way until 2018, I was on probation.
I didn't know that.
Every 3 months, I had to give them my whereabouts. I had to give them,
yeah, I did know that, yeah.
I mean, so I had to report everything to them, random drug testing. So that to me, even if I wanted to cheat, I couldn't cheat. So, and that's what, I disclosed and told a lot of these people, listen, I've been why would I try to, fix something that's not broken? I've been doing the same thing for years. So why would I try to change?
Did you sued the supplement company, right?
Correct. Yeah. So
how does that play out?
Well, we settled for an undisclosed amount, and we settled out of court.
So you won?
Yeah. Oh, I won.
That's great to hear.
No, it was awesome. I mean,
Did they tell you how that happens? How does that happen?
No, I mean, look, when we sent it to Corvo Labs, when Corvo Labs came back, which is a very reputable source, originally CrossFit's like, wait a minute, this is an open container. Do you have clothes? And I'm like, yeah. They send me so much product. And that's where I was a little taken back with CrossFit. Oh, do you have proof of purchase? Proof of purchase? I've never purchased a supplement in my life. In the last 5 years, I can give you tracking numbers. I can give you.
Because they were all given to you by sponsors.
But that's what they were hanging it up on. Hey, I need proof of purchase. I'm like, what are you talking about? So all this was happening, which delays the process. And then they're like, hey, we're not going to extend the allowance for your submission and your appeal. So it was a mess.
Is that what ended up being the big ding on you? Is that you couldn't get in the information
in
time?
When I gave them that, in December 15th is when I actually got the results from a sealed bottle. So I had an open container, which I was taking, and I can disclose what type of product it is. I can't disclose the name. And it was a B12 drop. It was B12. So
and it was a liquid. It was a liquid.
Yeah, it was a liquid B12.
Is that the same? Is it the same supplement that Katie proved that was tainted also?
I'm not sure in her case.
But she popped the same time and she proved hers was tainted.
Right. So I proved it. Then they wanted a sealed bottle. So I proved sealed. And then after that, they're like, well, we're not going to take that because the full product name wasn't disclosed from the beginning. And I'm like, it was just, I felt like I was just wrongly done as the poster child on the other side. All right, we can just take this 4-time world champion and rake him across, and no matter what he's going to, no matter what he's going to give us on his findings, we're going to find something just to keep this sanctioning. Just give me the 2-year, release it on the press, let them know that I did have positive findings in a closed and a sealed and an open container. And fast forward a year later, we settled out of court. We actually settled. We won the case, and there was no denying that.
So they didn't even deny it. They couldn't even deny it.
No, they tried to deny it. They tried to go back, but like, how are you going to deny a sealed container? And it was the exact same product that it was the GW 1516 and the Austrine, but it was like and it was in that sample it was trace amounts as well. It's the same 0.3 milligram.
Identical trace amount. Wow.
Yeah. So it was like, look, they couldn't deny.
Were you tripping when this happened to you? Where like, this is supposed to happen to other people. Like,
look, and I've always prided myself with taking natural substances and just like really being this example for all of not only the CrossFit community, like, hey, because I've never been the strongest. I've never had the best engine. I've never done, like, there's nothing that was great about my game other than just a good balance of capacities. So then, like, when this came out, I'm like, are you freaking serious? So immediately I thought it was deer antler, because the deer antler has had so I tested that right away. And testing's not cheap. I don't know if you know the testing.
Yeah, no, but I always think about that. I go, I wouldn't I know it was your life at the time, but it sounds crazy to have to pay for all that shit yourself.
So I wanted to exonerate myself. It was like $500 a hit.
Wow.
$500 a test.
So if you have 8 supplements, that's $4,000, $5,000.
7 supplements. So I had deer antler was the first one. I'm like, all right, it's got to be the deer antler. Then I thought I was taking, it was like a natural product with tribulus. And it's like a test booster, but it's all natural. It was called Stacker 2. They looked it up. Nothing in the ingredients is illegal. You could take up to 5 pills a day. And I would take that getting close to the games just to enhance my own natural testosterone stores, but it wasn't chemical. So I thought that was it. I tested that. That came out clean. Then I'm like, oh, crap, what could it be? So I tested my BCAAs. Right, because I had some.
God, this is like Russian roulette. You just want to find
it. Annoying, yeah. And I'm like, so then here we are, like 6 weeks in. They're like, hey, and they gave me the time to test, but then it got to the point where they're like, well, we're not going to accept any other testing at this point, or you've already gone over the allotted time for the appeal. And I'm like, look, I still have 4 products. $2,000 that I've already kicked out is not, something that.
Oh, trust me, I know.
So anyway, so then
you have 3 kids at fucking home. The last thing you want to do is spend $4,000 on.
So it came down to the 6th out of the 7th one, and it was the B12, right? So right there, I was like, oh, that was a smoking gun. I was and that was this November, 20, right after Thanksgiving. I remember going, being thankful, yes, we found the smoking gun. I was so excited. So then that's when they're like, well, do you have a sealed bottle? I'm like, crap. And I had 3 extra bottles. So I sent that in, and that came back positive. And I got those results December 15th. But by then they had already blasted me. They put it out there, and I was just, all I asked was just wait until all my testing is done. Because if nothing comes up negative, or everything comes up or nothing comes up positive, then I did my due diligence, and I don't know what the hell happened, and I'm guilty. But give me at least the chance to test my products.
Did they ever retract it? Why didn't they retract it and say, hey, we're going to give them a waiver here?
This is our final decision. And the guy who did it, I'm not going to name names because I don't want to be that guy, but you know who's behind the testing. I love Justin. It's not Justin. That's my dog. I'll let you narrow it down. But I'll never forget in the 2017 games, the last games at Carson, he's like that gatekeeper. And it was something so trivial, Sevan. I had like a band. I always wear bands, right? And the band was a band I had gotten that meant a lot to me. And it was there. We were getting ready to walk into the stadium, to get our medals. And I'm there with Ron, and I'm like, we're giving the Ron hugs, and we're celebrating in the tunnel. And this gentleman comes up and he's like, hey, you need to take off your bands and this and that. And I looked and I was like, okay, like didn't even think about it because I'm in the moment, man. I literally just won the games for the third time. It was my three-peat. And then I'm getting ready to walk out 3 minutes later, and he comes and just lays it on me, brother. I thought I told you to take that off. You're trying to get one past me, huh? I'm like, what are you talking about, man? And I'm like, dude, I forgot, man. You really think that I want to have this out? This isn't even a sponsor. This is something personal.
You mean this is for the closing ceremonies? This is for the award thing?
This is for the awards, man, on the podium. And then I'm like, and he's like that, you deliberately disobeyed my order. And I'm like, whoa. Seriously? You need to stop right now, bro. I just got my three-peat. I'm here celebrating with all my boys, and you're sitting here hounding me for
something's
a
weird.
Freaking silicone band, thinking that I want to sit there and promote a product. Like, what is wrong with you? What's wrong with me? And then Ron goes, Shawn. I go, Ron, like seriously, like this is just unjust. Like what? I don't get it, man. And I took my band off and I put it down. I'm like, and he was like, thank you. And I was like, no, thank you, man. Ever since then, stink eye every other games. When I won it again in Carson, same thing. If I had headphones on and I was walking towards an area, you had to have them off. He was like, headphone, like everything was a punch in the face. So when this happened, it was almost personal, at least to me. What's he doing his job? They have to follow their policy. They have to do what they have to do. Hey, I respect that, but follow policy. If I give you a result that results in a reduced sanction, give me that, at least that, right? And that's the one thing that, it didn't sit well with me. And my attorneys are like, you can go after CrossFit because, that's defamation of character and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, listen, I'm not going after CrossFit. First of all, nobody wins. Even if you win, you still lose. And I'm not going to go and pick that fight with somebody that I'm going to be back in that space again. And you know what? It's not worth what? An extra what's it worth? And they were just thinking money. They're like, no, it's more than you think. We can go and go after them for this. And I'm like, listen, as much as that sounds very appealing right now, that's not my interest. My interest is just clearing my name, getting back in, competing, doing what I love again, and moving on, man. And so they respected that. I didn't say anything. I didn't bash CrossFit. And to this day, I'm still not. Do I think that there could have been some decisions that were made from the higher level to help mitigate this and to help exonerate me and give me what I thought was fair? And yes, absolutely. But for me, I'm not holding that against anybody. I'm not going to sit there and hold a grudge. Life's too short. But I am here to tell you that it has empowered me beyond measure. And when I do make my comeback, which is now, those competitors that are out there, just all I got to say is be ready, because it's Ram 2.0, brother.
So the takeaway here is the only person you really cared about is your three sons and then your family. At the end of the day, you didn't want to cause them headache or have them think ill of you. And everyone else can go pound sand. And it was kind of a dick move to give this chick, Katie. That was the part when I looked into this, and I didn't look too deeply into it. But the fact that another person who also proved the same thing you did got a 2-year ban and you got a 4-year ban.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean,
were you the first person ever? Was that? No, there were others.
No.
Okay.
But, in addition.
The most high profile, though, probably.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what I think that ultimately they kind of wanted. But, you know, when you talk about just like me personally, the kids love me no matter, like they're going to accept me no matter what. It was my concern was the backlash that they would get outside of, you know, our household, which they didn't. Like there wasn't guys like to this day, like even Ty, the kids that know and can look up my name aren't going to sit there and be like, oh, your dad, you know, got busted. Like, cause like, that's why I'm doing this. The truth is going to get out there. People are going to see what really happened, and we're going to move on from that. It wasn't like, you know, I had, like, as I saw, you know, with the interview with you know, Gerard, like he straight out had like, was it Endurable? I don't know, something like, but he came out and said, yeah, I knew what I was taking, and this, like, and I respect him for that. Came back and smashed it, right? That's not my case. Like, I feel like I was a victim of a contaminated substance that
Not feel like you
I
were.
was. I was.
You were.
And
it sounds like a nightmare, to tell you the truth. It sounds like this is like something when you're a kid, like you see happens to like some Olympian. And now you're like, what the fuck?
No, man. And look, and that's the hardest part was me to just accept that. But if I didn't have the family behind me and didn't have the people in my corner, like I would have never survived. And that's where, look.
So it was hard on you. So you were.
Let me tell you, man. And look, I wasn't going to put this out there. In fact, I was advised not to from my family members. They just said, if you do, just keep it simple. But like, I am a guy that holds a lot in, right? Most men do. Where my wife, I told her, babe, like this has been stressful. She's like, well, just talk to me. That's not who I am. I'm not this emotional guy. So I kept a lot in. Finally, as it was getting close to the end and we finally settled, it all came out. And I was just relieved, but to the point where I was exhausted mentally. I was exhausted emotionally, and I didn't know what to do. And like, I also pride myself on being just a clean cut where like I didn't even drink my first beer until I was 21. Like I never partied. Everything was right. Like, so that's where I started finding myself just, you know, doing my sports and stuff. And then on the weekend, when I would do my lawn work, I'd have a beer here and there. And I was like, and then it got to it where my son was, Dad, I've never seen you drink beers. Like I go, no, it's hot out here. And I kept on making excuses. No, you know, I'm doing yard work, or no, I'm building the shed. And then it affected my kids. And that's when they're like, but are you going to train again, Dad? When are you going to go back to the CrossFit games? Man, you want to talk about pain? Man,
how bad did the drinking get?
Not bad.
Not bad.
But it hurt to hear that from the kids, right?
Yeah.
No, I mean, 2 beers is a lot for me. I mean, so,
right.
But it was just the principle of it. It was the point of it. And then hearing that from the kids, I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's affecting like my lifeline, my boys, like my family. And I finally came out to my wife and just said, look, like, she's like, no, I'm just concerned because you've never drank. And I'm like, I'm not drinking like because I need it. It's just, it helps me relax on the weekend. And she's like, but that's not you. And I'm like, I know. But so finally, once it started affecting that, Sevan, this was last year, Christmas, like right before Christmas, I just went and just 100% said, I'm done, just done. And that my first actual beer was at Bobby's house at the MFC after I got a podium finish at MFC. And I was like, oh. And what's funny is after that beer, I woke up the next morning just groggy. I go, this is horrible.
One beer. I know. You're
I'm
such a refined machine. Like, it's amazing what a refined machine
yeah,
you
and
are.
it's just, and look, everybody knows me, like at the games, they always say, hey, you know, I never drink. And that's one of my things. Like I don't drink, I don't put any drugs, nothing, because even supplement wise, because it's such a mental game. So when I go in there, I got to be so mentally dialed in that if I know, oh, I drank, you know, at this bachelor party and got wasted, like that'll come up. and it sounds crazy, but I'll be like, man, if I fade on a work,
I
start
see what
thinking,
you're saying.
I'll process that and be like, damn, even if it's after that,
I didn't do everything I could to be the best, and it'll put a thought in your arm, put a chink in your armor.
It'll ponder. I'll ponder those thoughts. I'll sit on them, and it'll affect my performance. So I don't let any of that come into my system, and that empowers me. And the meditation side of it, the visualization side, like all that. There's so many components, and that's what moving forward. When I start to do my documentary, when I have this run, these are the things that I want to share, because just at this MFC Sevan alone, guys are like, how do you do it? What's your secret sauce? Like, how do you do? And I'm like, well, you know what I don't do? I don't do a lot of, even in CrossFit days, I don't do a lot of CrossFit. They're like, what? I'm like, look, I'll do my little couplets and triplets, but box jump up, step down. I haven't bounded, like only going into the games. Now, if I know that I'll do it just to get, that stimulation and to get my body to kind of feel it. But like, there's so many things that I don't do that people are like shocked. And I'm like, look, a lot of swimming, a lot of rowing, a lot of biking for my cardio. If I do run, it's only 2 months before the games and I'm running on a track or a runner. I don't do a lot of running. It beats up my joints. Really? Yeah. And so these are the kind of things that people are like, oh my gosh, why do you think I've never been sidelined with an injury? Okay. Well, it's these practices that I put in play. Not crashing, do you guys visualize? Do you guys meditate? Do you guys do yoga? No? Well, I do that at least twice a week leading into the games. Really? I watch sunrises on the weekend. Oh my God. These are the things that LeBron James and all these big elite athletes do that they don't talk about. One, it gets frowned upon by many. Oh, they're lost, and they might as well go to Tibet and become a Buddha with the Dalai. And a lot of people just don't understand it. But they're like, well, how do you get into that state? Like, I'm not a big meditating guy, but I listen to the right stuff, puts me into it. All I'm doing is just breathing deep, just being able to focus on what I need to do in the events that are coming up, and I'm able to just get away from everything and reconnect with the self. And these are the kind of things, and this is 1, 2, 3 examples of many things that I would love to educate and get all the, because I'm not, before I was like, I don't want anybody to know, because this is why I do what I do. But now it's like, what am I going to hold on to that for?
They won't even do it if you tell them, dude. They won't even do it if you tell them.
But if I say I give 10 tools,
yeah,
and you take one that helps your family, or helps you, on that half pipe, or you're not going to break your bone, or helps you or helps this guy competing, getting mentally, like that's the change I want to be in this world. That's the difference. I want to be an impact. I know it sounds cliche, but I'm tired of holding everything in. Like,
yeah,
books.
good.
Like, I'll give like Noah, like, hey, this is a book that changed my life. Boom.
You read the Bob Rotella book too. That thing changed my life. I saw that on your
really?
Instagram. Yeah. Oh, what is that? The Championship Mindset book?
Oh yeah, Championship Mindset. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Relentless.
I listened to it on audio. It was unbelievable.
These are my books up here. Well, let's see if you can see them.
Yep. I see them. Yep.
Yeah, there's some good ones up there. But anyway, but look, at the end, all I want to do is just exonerate myself, just be free of this imprisonment that I've experienced, which I am, and I thank you for helping me do this, and just go back to my love, man. And that's competing, because I fell back for it again, amidst the subpar results. I mean, third is not bad, but
that's what you got at the Masters Fitness Collective, third.
Yeah, look, I won the last event. Actually, I took second in the row. It was a 1,000-meter row, but I blew up, man. I was averaging 138, right? So I come off, and I went to toes the bar, which I can do 30, 40 unbroken. Sevan, I couldn't do 10. I barely got 10. I had no forearms.
Welcome back to CrossFit.
And I just, at that point, I went to threes and then twos and then singles, and that's when I'm like, man, you know what? But if I would have won that last event, which I was on pace, then I would have won. I would have
Were
won.
you sore the next day? What did that do to your body? Did that beat you up pretty good?
So day 1 and 2, no, because the programming was very generous. Thanks to CJ Martin. Love that dude. So you had to swim, we had to run, we had a little couplet gymnastics, handstand walk, some jump rope, very light. Day 3 crushed me. It was freaking 40 deadlifts and box jumps and rope climb, man. It thrusters, it destroyed me. So that's where like Monday, I was tender. Tuesday, I was, let's just say I was close. I was teetering with rhabdo. My forearms were blown up. I didn't get the dark urine, but I was close.
Hey, so as you get older, it takes longer for the soreness to set in.
That's what they say. Mine set in right away, brother.
Oh, okay. But on Tuesday, you're saying it was worse than Monday.
Always the second day.
Yeah.
Always the second day is always the worst.
Even as a kid, it was like that.
But I will tell you, all my years, I mean, it's always been that second day has always been the worst. But I will tell you, you know who saved me that day?
Who?
Miss Martin, CJ's mom. She is a blessing. I don't know if you've met her.
No.
Oh,
I met his dad, I think, many years ago, but not his mom.
She had this hospitality where she had like mush, you know, the oatmeal. So I was like constantly getting my energy with her. And then she had the Normatec boots, which I have here. She had the Hyper Ice, that belt that heats up, that has like the stimulus, like the vibrate. I lived on that. Let me tell you, that I ended up buying one. That saved my life. Recovery, unbelievable. Got to look it up. It's the most amazing discovery. I saw one of those things for sale at Rogue. You had the back one? Hey, I'm telling you now, for old men and young, and any women. Look, she was telling me she has her female athletes use it for menstrual cramps. They put it in front. She's like, it's unbelievable with the heat and the vibration. Yes, that's it. Unbelievable. I'm like, really? She's like, you don't know how many women have come up to me saying this has alleviated all their pain on that time of the month. I'm like, wow, that's pretty. Let
me ask you this, because I saw the Venom back and I was like, God, I'd love to have that as a just in case.
Yeah.
Because I've had some back issues, although knock on wood, it's been a few years since I stopped lifting man weights. And I live little kid weights now. Do you remember when we were young, electric blankets were all the rave?
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
And then it was like, hey, those fuckers aren't good for you because like all those electrical cables and they're on you.
Yeah.
I always just wonder about that.
So yeah, I don't know. Look, in terms of like,
but I really tempted
them though. It's not an electrical stimulation. All it is just a little like a vibration. Like it's not like STEM units where you're attaching and you're getting. So it's just more of just like a stimulus, but not.
It gets hot. It gets hot.
Yeah. So it heats up. It gets hot. So here's what I did with it. I took it to, well, at least what I thought would be the best practice is I got it heated up. I got a little stimulus, and then I did some low back stretches with it on.
Yeah.
I've never had my back open up like that. Pop, 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 pop. It felt like I was at a chiropractor, and I wasn't manipulating my back and twisting it. It was just simple, just like hip flexor stretches, just some IT stretches, you know. And let me tell you, it opened me up. And then I just took it off after a good 7, 10 minutes, and night and day. I walked around feeling just fresh. And I was like, and I went back to her and I went, this is brilliant. She's like, I know. I'm like, and if you stretch with it, it's even better. She's like, yep. I'm like, wow. So I even brought one back to my athletes here who have been having like back pain. And I gave one to a basketball player who we just played last night. And he's like, oh my God, he ended up going out and buy one. And then another, our manager.
You're about to sell me one. Careful.
I'm telling you, man. You know what? How about I'm gonna. If you don't buy one, I'm gonna get one for you, man. How about that?
I'm so tempted. Caleb, have you heard of these things? Have you heard of these?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. I've never used them myself, but I know people had used them, and they say they like them a lot.
So I use that with the gun. So I take the Hypervolt gun and I use that for my glutes because that's where a lot of the tension. And I do the glute with the stretch with that And I'm telling you,
is it battery operated? It's a rechargeable battery.
Rechargeable. Yeah. No, I'm telling you, it's
and
everybody
like sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying everybody, even an orthopedic surgeon, he just got one. I have another guy who's another doctor that I play volleyball with. I brought it out there at volleyball, and I was just taking bands and stretching. What is that? I'm like, hey, this will change your life. They tried it, and they're like, oh, my gosh. Like, and especially if you stretch with it. Like, if you just have it, the other thing you can do is you have back pain, you can put your feet up on some pillows, lay down with it, take the pressure off your low back, just put it on with a little stem, and that's also good as well. It just relaxes the muscles. It helps increase, any kind of circulation or oxygen. And it also just acts as an aid to be able to open up those vessels and get a good stretch in. Because a lot of times, even when you stretch, you're not fully warmed up. This gives you that warm up to where when you stretch, your muscles are already loose and it's pop, 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 like it, telling you. So those are the kind of things like I want to line up with these guys and go, hey, you have a great product. Like I could be a great ambassador for you. I don't need to be a tier 1 athlete and get a monthly stipend and
better than a tier 1 athlete. You're a fucking guy who's 48 years old
no,
at the top of your game.
I have I'm blessed to have the job I have. I run a summer camp here and let's just say that that's a great business. And outside of that, all I'm doing is competing. I just want to compete. I don't want what comes with that.
Look at this one. Look at this height. This one is cold and hot.
Now you're getting out of control.
Hey, what do you mean you have a summer camp?
So we have, it's called Camp TNT. And we have right now, 1,900 kids in our schools. Of the K through 5, which is what the camp holds, in a couple 6th and 7th graders, we had to stop registration. We had 165 campers register for 2-3 week sessions in the summer. So I run a whole summer camp. I'm the camp director. And then
do they sleep there? Do the kids sleep there?
No. It's just a camp where we offer, like I told you, sports. So every week we bring in new sports, and I bring in the SMEs on that, some great volleyball coaches, football, basketball. We offer, I'll bring in parkour guys to teach them, all the ninja training. I was an American Ninja Warrior in season 8. So I use that as a kind of a leverage to get the kids excited.
Wait, you were on season 8 of Ninja Warrior?
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So and they tried to make a mockery of CrossFit. Like they thought I was going to, 3-time world champion. He goes in and I got to send you the video. It's hysterical. They're like, CrossFit, Shawn. I made it all the way, just the one before the warp wall. I went through 5 of them. Awesome. And I didn't have the grip. I was 200 pounds. Like it was a good run though. So we do that. We offer, because a lot of these kids are just scared to go outside, like we spoke of. So let's get them to be comfortable in open space. Have them understand how to scale a fence or a wall, to where, as crazy as that sounds, like the parents are like, oh my gosh, but they do it and the kids love it. And it just gives them that different aspect in life that a lot of parents are scared to open their kids up to. Now, there are some kids that are terrified, but none of them, out of the 165, none of them, not one single camper refused to participate when the ninjas came over, which is awesome. But you got to encourage them. And it took a little time for some, but after that, now we take them to the ninja lounges, on field trips instead of movies or Chuck E. Cheese or any of that crap.
Yeah.
And it's good. Like we expose them to all these different sports, all these different avenues of releases. And at the end, the kids love it. The parents have some place to drop their kids off, a safe space where they're having a good time. And I love it, man. This is what I do. So to get back to your point though, nobody realizes the Nike, whole different world. You don't post enough or whatever, you're getting an email. You're in breach of your contract. Then you have all the other supplement company or any of the other companies where they're it's rough. Like they,
I don't mean to attack one of your sponsors, but when I see someone who's sponsored by Nike, a piece of me just thinks that they're a world-class piece of shit with no integrity and a complete sellout. I'm going to tell
you. Want
you.
another reason why I jumped in with Nike?
Yeah, yeah.
My kids. Dad, Nike, oh my God. And I'm like, yeah.
They are bad. They are bad people over there. They are very, very bad people over there. They know they're bad. They know they're sellouts. They know they're corporate fucking stooges. You know what they did, right, Shawn? They fired all their employees who didn't fucking take the experimental injection.
Shut up. Oh, I remember you talking about that, actually. I do.
Yeah, they fired all of their employees up in Portland who didn't take the experimental injection.
Wow.
And I hate to mix this, but yesterday out of Australia, they are now in the country that had the worst lockdowns, that had the fucking worst mandates. They have now made it illegal to give kids under the age of 30 the fourth booster, because now they have realized that it's causing more myocarditis than it is preventing COVID. Wow. This came out yesterday. And so I just can't stand those piles of shit over there at Nike. Yeah. They are scumbags. And I know that all the people that I know who are sponsored by Nike, I know they've given a piece of their soul. Now, it was different when you were sponsored. It was a little bit different.
Yeah, look, the Nike training department was kind of different. Like,
but they've sold out.
Yeah, and he was so good to me. But
sure. And that was a different era. It was a different era.
Yeah. No, No, I know the direction they've gone is a little extreme, and I get it. Look.
It's not a healthy environment for your kids.
Nor would I ever go back to something like that, because it didn't end bad, but it didn't end great either, right, with them. So, like, moving forward, the guys I'm lining up with just get it. They get it.
I like these guys, Hyper Ice. I approve.
Good. All right.
Not that I fucking matter. By the way, you look so incredible.
You have a strong voice out there, and you're a great person.
You look incredible. Your skin is amazing. I'm looking at you and I'm like, yeah, that's from just not drinking. That's from years of just like not putting that shit in you. I can't
see. Look, I can barely see you. Like, now I can't
see. No, take your glasses off. You don't want to see it. There's nothing to see over here.
I'm trying to see your what you have in the back there. Some books I can get off your shelf. All right.
They fired Kyrie. I know it. The whole thing just makes me ill.
Oh yeah, Nike. I know. So look, moving forward, I just want to say I don't know if you're wrapping it up now, but I wanted to
go pee I'm going pee into the skate park.
I just want to thank you, Sevan, because look, at the end, I only know you from being the man behind the lens that you've been, and you've been very loyal and consistent in our space, even after everything that happened. I've seen. You're a man of honor, and I respect that more than anything. And your opinion is strong, but it's also the truth. And that I can't say enough about. And this isn't me being diplomatic or being PC. Like, I just want hats off for that. And having me on and being able to get my life story out there, I appreciate. And I'm looking forward to this next run, my friend.
Hey, let's do it again. I'm super excited. I know that you're going to invigorate the whole entire Masters class. I'm sure. Is Ron making a run this year?
Yeah, if he can stay away from injury. That guy, he knows no bounds, man. That guy is always getting dinged up. But when you're carrying around 240 pounds and he tries to keep up with the young bucks, he's always been trying to keep up with me and even Noah. He's like, I could do that. Like, he's got a will of a warrior, man. But yeah, he's gonna make a run, and then Rich Froning.
It'll be a special year with all you guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you be in the same class as is it Jason Grubb?
Yeah, man. Jason's turn is at first.
Oh shit.
Jason Grubb.
That guy's become kind of a homeboy of mine. You go easy on him. Holy shit. You're gonna go.
That guy, hey man, listen.
The nicest man in the world. You're gonna try to take his title from him. He's such a good
dude. No, the first year he competed, I think he ended up getting top 5. He might have even podium 3rd. But I remember him coming up, hey, Shawn, big fan, this and that. Came up to me, the salt of the earth, right? Hey, it's an honor. And I walked away going, bro, I'm going to eat this guy up, bro. Like, who comes and goes, hey, it's an honor. You're going to get, like, bottom half 10. You're not going to make it on the final event. Boy, did he prove me wrong. He came out there, and I'm like, he lacks a little on the strength side, but damn, this guy's gymnastic. Oh, he's got a gymnastics background? Okay. Oh, this guy has an engine. Oh, crap. Then I started looking at him. I'm like, this guy's a true contender. And for him, what he went 2 or 3? I think he won
3
one
now, I
the
think.
40 to 44 and 2 in a row in this one. So I'm like, damn. But to his
Hey,
credit,
dude, he's owning it. He fucking took his motorhome and his family and parked outside of Rich Froning's house for the last month. I mean, he's got the Starlink set up. I mean, he's the real deal.
He's one of the ones. And look, my boy is Michael Kern. That's my dog. That's a good old country boy, but he's stuck in New York. But he's my guy, man. Like, and it's such a cool little clique in there. And he's one of the guys that always was just like my dog. And I've always turned to him. In fact, the Masters Fitness Collective, he's like, hey, these are guys you got to look out for. This is a new, he just aged up, blah, blah, blah.
Grub's a wolf in sheep's clothing.
He was like, Grub, man. He goes, man, I had him right there. He's like, but damn, that guy he doesn't have any holes, man. He finished top 5 and all, and then he dropped on one, and he was like, I couldn't catch him, Shawn. I'm like, damn, man. So now I'm sitting back going, that's my guy right there. But let me tell you, like having that target on your back, it's not fun, my friend. It gets lonely up there.
And I think he might be the oldest guy. He's going to be the oldest guy in the division this year.
He's 1 year under me. I think he'll be 48.
Okay.
I'll be 49.
Okay.
So that's if I make it.
So he's a young buck compared to you. Okay.
But yeah, that's if I make it. But you got, it does get lonely up top. And he owns it right now. That's his space. So I have to go and fight for it. And it'll be a fun run. Thank
you so much for coming on. I have your phone number. I hope it's okay that I stay in touch.
Anytime, my friend.
All right.
Even if you want some half pipe pointers or anything along.
Oh, you the man.
I got you.
All right. Have a good day, and we'll be in touch. Pleasure to finally. I know we've run into each other and shook hands and hugged a bunch, but good to finally talk to you.
Likewise. Appreciate you, my man.
All right, brother. Ciao.
Thank you. See you.
I enjoyed that.
Me too. That was cool.
Yeah, he's cool as shit.
He seems like a athletic director. Like I haven't met him yet, but as soon as he started talking,
if you're lucky, your athletic director looks like that at your school. That might be that's the fittest athletic director on any school on the planet.
That's how they are in Nebraska, at least. They
look like
just,
that.
Just hyper aggressive, like football coaches, basically, or wrestling coaches.
Hey, do I get a point for him crying? Would you say he cried on the show?
No.
Darn. I wanted to. If I could have gotten one tear out of him, I would have given this a 10 out of 10. But it was close. I give it a 9.2.
Yeah, I think his ducks turned on, but that's about
it. He felt them. He felt the tear ducts turn on. What school is it? I don't even think I asked him the name. I kind of, since he didn't offer it, I was kind of like wondering if he was avoiding it. But there's 7 charter schools in Florida. It sounds like a guy who's fed up with the system started them, and it sounds like it may even been his brother-in-law, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Excuse me.
Crazy.
All right.
Today is the last day to sign up for Fight for the Fittest.
For the Zealous games?
No, for Fight for the Fittest.
Thank you. Yes. Oh, let's pull that up. Okay, so 2 things to sign up for. I think today is the last day for both of them: the Zealous games and Fight for the Fittest. Will you pull up that Fight for the Fittest? Thank you. God, Caleb, You're good. What is this? Oh.
And you just use Sevan 5 for that, for Fight for the Fittest.
You use what? Say that again.
Sevan 5. That'll get you $5 off registration.
Oh, Sevan 5. SEVAN 5. The MFLH Fight for the Fittest Partner Series. What's the website?
I just put it in the chat, but it's on Conquest Events. It's listed on their Instagram page. So if you go to Fight for the Fittest on Instagram, you should be able to find it as well.
And how many do they have? Different classes?
Yeah, I think they have RX and scaled, male, female, or female teams. So three different team versions.
What is there a non-binary team?
I don't know. I think you might have to designate your respective sexes on that one.
Unacceptable. Okay.
Not inclusive enough.
Thank you, everyone. I hope that man, he's a great ambassador for the Hyper Ice.
Yeah, it looks pretty dope.
Yep. All right. Great job, Beaver, doing the Chad. Took me 70 minutes. Wow. That's hardcore. I'd even say go as far as that to say that's bad programming. 87 minutes. Oh my goodness.
Oh, God, you guys are so slow.
What did you do it in?
I think it was like an hour 65 minutes.
Wow. He's tall. Bruce, 87's great. Don't listen to him. The fact that you got on the box once with that weight vest is insane. Spiegel premature donation. That's what your mom said. All right. I will see you guys tomorrow. I don't think we have a guest tomorrow, which would mean we do a live call-in show, which I'm kind of excited about. I always sleep better the nights that we have live call-in shows. Are you here tomorrow, Caleb?
Yeah, it should be.
All right. We'll have a great party. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll open up the phone lines tomorrow. We'll party. I am also trying to schedule a show with Andrew Hiller just to, hang out. And that's all I got for you. Tons of great guests coming up. Talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.